Okay, Integrated Math 2. This is an answers video for the review assignment that you were given right after we returned from Thanksgiving. And what I'm going to do is do all of the problems for you here, and you can work this through, and this will help you to prepare for the test. All right, so the general formula for any circle is this. Okay, so it's x minus h plus y minus k, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, which is the radius squared. So the h and k values are the coordinates of the center of the circle. So in this case, on these circles, the center is right at 0, 0. So the way you would then write this is, and now the radius here, you just count in any direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see it's going to be the same in any direction. So that's going to be 4 squared. Therefore, the final form of this equation would be x minus 0 is just x, so it's x squared plus y squared equals 16. So that's the equation for this circle right here. Okay, let's do this one down here. It's a little blurry, but I think that says 2, 4, 6. So we can see the radius 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 6. Again, the center of the circle is right at what's called the origin, 0, 0, right where the x and y axes intersect. So again, I'm going to write the formula, the general formula, and if you do that, you end up memorizing formulas without even trying. And this is the answer to this one. This, of course, was the answer to the one above. Okay, we're going to move on. So what you can do now is stop the video. Remember, the nice thing about a video is you can go back and watch something a second time. You can stop it. What you could do is pause the video, get another piece of paper, clean piece of paper, cover up this answer, and see if you can do it. See if you can do it on your own. Because remember, ultimately on a test, you have to be able to do it on your own. And if you don't practice doing that, you won't be able to do it on the test. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, now here we're asked to actually draw the circle. So we know that when there's nothing, it's just simply x squared and y squared, that the center is going to be right at the origin, right there. And we know that this is the radius squared, so you have to simply ask yourself, and you can use a calculator, what's the square root of 64? So the square root of 64 equals 8. That means the radius is going to be 8. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That goes outside of our graph. So we could do one of two things. We could just say, oh, it's out here somewhere. Or we don't have to count every square as 1. We can count every square as 2. So this is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. So there's part of the circle goes through that point. Let's go up. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8. Back 2, 4, 6, 8. And down 2, 4, 6, 8. And so now we can do the best we can to draw our circle. And that's supposed to be a circle, but it goes through 4 of the points on the circle, so that is the answer to that question. Okay, here we see the equation for the circle. So now what we have to do is determine where the center of that circle is. So one way you can do that is start at the bottom and count how many squares to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means the center is half that distance. 1, 2, 3, right there. So what point is that? You go back 1, 2, and up 1. So that point is -2 on the x-axis and 1 up, +1 on the y-axis. So -2, 1. So that means h is going to be, let's go ahead and write the equation. Again, even though it's right there in front of us, you'll memorize it if you just write it every time you do a problem. Doesn't take that long to do. and you end up memorizing the equation. Okay, so the first thing we just counted is 1, 2, 3 is the radius. So that's going to be 3 squared. Okay, now you got to be careful on this. The negative signs are built into the equation. They're part of the equation. So it's going to be x minus the x coordinate, which is -2. So that's going to be x minus, because there's a minus sign there, and then there's a -2. The -2 is the coordinate, so it's minus -2. So I'm going to close the parenthesis, and I'm going to add a second parenthesis to match up with this one. Plus y minus, the y coordinate is +1, so that's just going to be 1. Again, it's minus, but +1 right there. And I forgot my squared there. Okay, so that's how you would plug in those numbers. Just remember the negative signs are part of the equation. And now I plugged in a -2 there for h and a +1 there for k. So now that we can write the final equation as x minus -2 is +2 squared plus, and this you can just copy as it is, y minus 1 squared equals 9. Okay, and that's the answer to that problem right there. Okay, you should always be trying these problems before you watch me do it. And the reason is you learn that way. If you just watch me do it, you just kind of, okay, you saw me do it, but you don't remember it. If you try it on your own, and even if you get it totally wrong, you'll be able to compare what I do with what you did, and the answer will stick in your mind. It won't stick in your mind if you didn't at least try it first. So try the problem first. You can do it lightly in pencil if you're not sure you're doing it right, and then watch me do it and compare what I did with what you did. Okay, so again, we have to find the center of the circle. So we come to the bottom here and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means the center is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that point is 1 to the right and 1 up, so it's +1 on the x-axis, +1 on the y-axis, 1, 1. Okay, and so it has a radius, we just said, of 4. So, okay, so in this case the equation is easier because both of these numbers are positive. So this is going to be x minus +1, y minus +1. And the radius is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means the final answer is this. And there's the answer for that. All right. Okay, now we're going to go to vertex form. And the reason this is called vertex form is that this number, and remember there's a negative sign built in here. So this number is the x-coordinate of the vertex, and this number is the y-coordinate of the vertex. Let's remind ourselves what a vertex is. If you have a parabola that's upward facing, it's the lowest point. It's where it turns the corner and goes back. It's the lowest point. If you have a parabola that's downward facing, that's called concave down, then it's the highest point right there, okay? So that's the vertex. So the coordinates of this point, or this point, would be this number, and remember there's a minus sign there, and this number. All right. A is going to tell us how wide or how narrow it is. So let's again give a couple of examples here. Okay, if it's an upward, then A is going to be positive. Okay, so A. So I'm going to write it right here, positive A, and this is going to be a negative A. Okay, so let's say A is a small number, 1/10. It's a positive number, but it's a small number. Since it's positive, it's going to be upward facing. That means it's going to be very wide like that. Okay, that's if A equals 1/10. If A equals 1, it's going to be normal. It's going to be whatever a normal parabola would be, like that. Okay, and finally, if A equals, say, a big number, let's say much bigger than 1, like 10, A equals 10, then it's going to be a very skinny parabola like that. Okay, For the negative, it would be just the same except facing downward, okay? So negative 1/10 would be very wide, going like that. Negative 1 would be this, except directly upside down. And negative 10 would be very skinny, but upside down. All right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do some of these problems. Okay, so they simply want you to identify A, H, and K. So A is this number, and again, I'm going to write the formula, the general formula. Okay, so this can be a little tricky, so the A is going to be that, the -2, that's easy. Okay, now remember, the negative sign is built into the equation, so that's really a +1. It's minus +1. So the H is +1. I'm going to draw the plus sign just to emphasize that. H is +1. Now this is plus K. So this is plus a -1. Since you see a negative there, it's plus a -1. So that's a -1. So just remember, the K value is exactly what you see there. The H value is the opposite of what you see there. Okay, just kind of remember that little rule of thumb. Okay? All right, describe the transformations from the parent function. Okay, so here we go with that. We saw what that does to help us graph, so we're going to do that. So the transformations, the parent function x squared, we're simply going to plot x versus x squared here. So if x is 0, 1, 2, 3, we'll go up to 4 here because x squared goes up pretty quickly. X squared is going to be 0, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. Okay? So in other words, how much of a change is there? This is the parent function of any type of function that has a square. That is, the square is the largest exponent you see anywhere here. So that makes this a quadratic. And so this is the parent function. Simply f of x equals x squared is called the parent function of any quadratic. So the transformations are from 0 to 1 is 1, from 1 to 4 is 3, from 4 to 9 is 5, and from 9 to 16 is 7. Okay, so you're going to use these when you want to plot a graph of this function. 3, 5, 7 is called the pattern of change. And I'm going to show you on the next video how you use the pattern of change to help you with graphing a vertex form equation, okay? But for right now, we're just going to compute that. All right? Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. Simply identify. So see if you can do that before I do this. Okay, so the A is a little tricky this time because you don't see anything in front. If you don't see anything in front, it's a 1. It means 1. Try to squeeze a 1 in there. It's 1 times this. So that means A equals 1. +1, just to emphasize that. Remember, this is always the opposite. The H is the opposite of this because it's minus -2 is what makes it a +2. So this is -2. And this one is plus K, so this is the same as what you see there. So it's +1. All right? Okay. Now let's do this one. So the A is right there. It's -2. This is minus -5, so that means the H is actually a -5. It's the opposite of whatever you see right there. And the K is going to be the same, so that's -3. Okay, pretty easy. We don't have to do the pattern of change again, what we did up there, because they're also squared functions, so that doesn't change. Okay, now they're saying which parabola is the graph of the following equation? Okay, so the first thing we notice is, again, is that the A value is negative. That means it's going to be downward concave downward. That can't possibly be the answer, so you can cross that one out. Okay, let's see what else. It means that the center, let's go ahead and write the A, which is -3. The H is the opposite of this +2, so it's -2. And the K is -2, exactly what you see there. So H and K, or the coordinates, are -2, -2. So if we start at the origin here, -2, -2 would put us right there. Well, that's not the vertex. So this, in other words, is the coordinates of the vertex. That's not the vertex is there, so this one's eliminated. For this one, okay, we got to be careful on the scaling here. So look at this as -4, -6, -8, -12. So every one of these squares represents 2. Okay, and going to the left, it's -2. And going down, it's the same thing. Everything represents 2. So -2, -4, -6. So -2, -2 would be right there is -2, and right down -2. So this one has the correct vertex. Doesn't mean it's the correct answer yet. Let's check this last one right here. So this one is also, now this one, every square, it represents 1. -1, -2, you see there. -3, -4, you see there. Going down, it's the same thing. -1, -2, -3, -4. So each square on this one represents 1. So if you go over 2, it's 1, 2, and down is 1, 2. That would put you right there. That's not the vertex. The vertex is right next to it, but that's not the exact place. So this one is out. So the correct answer for this is B. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do this last one. All right. So it's got a positive A value, so it's got to be upward curved. Well, all of them are, so that doesn't help us to eliminate any of them. So let's go ahead and write our A, H, and K. So A is +2. H is the opposite of this, so it's -2. And K is the same as this, so it's +4. Okay? So that means the coordinates of our vertex are going to be -2 for the H and +4 for the K. So now we got to find a vertex of -2, +4. Again, you got to watch the scaling. So I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit tighter. You can see the numbers a little better than I had them up there last time. Let me focus here. Okay, so each square here is -1, -1, -2. So we're looking for -2, +4. So this one is -2, +4 is up off the scale somewhere, so this is not the correct answer. For this one, you start at the origin, you go -1, -2, and +1, 2, 3, 4. That would put you right there. Well, that's not where the vertex is, so that one's eliminated. Let's go to this one. Now notice every square here is 2. -2, -4, -6, -8. And every square going up is 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. So we go -2 and then 4. 2, 4. That's where the vertex should be, right there. But that doesn't make this the right answer. Let's check the last one first before we make that decision. So this is going to be -2 and up 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, clearly that's not where the vertex is. It's over there. Eliminate that. So C is your correct answer. Okay, so that takes care of this part of the review. And I'll do the graphing part of it on the next video. Okay, we'll see you then.